Alright, so to start the lab, you'll need to go to flyLabJS. Best way to do it is just type in flyLabJS into Google, and it should give you this. And just go to Science Courseware. It takes you straight here. So it's sciencecourseware.org flyLabJS with a slash on the end. I don't know if you can how well you can see that, but you can just search for it on Google with flyLabJS, and it's the first thing that comes up. So once you're here, let's kind of get an idea on what we're trying to do. We're trying to cross wild type females with several different types of mutant males, and then we're going to go reverse that and cross several wild type males with several mutant females. So let's do a wild type female first, crossed with a mutant male. Well, that's usually pretty easy because you can start on this first page, and this female right here that we start with is wild type. So we can select this wild type female, since female kind of comes first here. We can select that fly, and now it's female plus. So you didn't have to do anything to select the female. Now we choose the male, so we design the fly, and we have a male here, and we go over here, and let's say we're going to do wing shape. So I'll do wing shape, and I'm going to choose, let's see, dumpy. So that's a shape, it's kind of a wider wing, and so we have dumpy wings. Alright, and I choose that. So now we have a wild type female, we have dumpy winged male, and we can mate these flies. And so up here are our parents. Down here are the two types of offspring that we get. We get 500 females, all right, with wild type wings, and we get 500 male flies, 511 male flies that are also wild type. So what does this tell you? Well, we crossed a dumpy male with a wild type female. So in other words, the children were all like the mother. So the mother, since these are all like the mother, that indicates that is in their wild type, that dumpy is a recessive trait. This one right here, dumpy, is a recessive trait to wild type. So that's one indication of what's going on. We don't get any of the dumpy children. There are no dumpy children because one of the alleles they got from their mother was a wild type, and that covered up the others. So okay, once we've done this, once you've done a cross and crossed something, you want to analyze it. So now we go here, and you'll need to record these numbers. All right, and once you record those numbers, you also then need to test your hypothesis. And your hypothesis is, of course, actually pretty easy at this level. We'll get into this with chi-squared later on how to come up with what your numbers should be, or how to calculate such numbers. But for us, we already kind of know. We can just kind of guess by what we have over here. This one is close to 50-50, and of course that's what your hypothesis is, that you should get close to 50-50. For this type of experiment, we know that you're either going to get 50%, 25%, maybe 75%, depending on the type of cross you do. Those are the numbers that you usually get for your phenotypes. The ones we've seen in the complete and incomplete crosses, we see that either you get 25%, 50%, or 75%, or 100% if it's all one type of fly. That's all you can. Those are the only choices that you can get. Here it's pretty clear that it's supposed to be 50-50. It's not exactly right, but then so we put in the 50-50, and we see if this difference is enough for us to either confirm or reject our null hypothesis. We test our hypothesis, and yes, it's very small. It's less than 3.84. So therefore, if it's less than 3.84, we pretty much know that we are really close to our 50-50. We reject the null, and therefore we can say that yes, these are close enough that being low, what it's telling you is that these are close enough that we can say that yes, indeed, we got what we expected, which was 50%. 49.46 and 50.54, these percentages are close enough to 50-50 for us to say that our hypothesis is still, how do we say it, left open to being correct. All right, so that was one way. Let's do it another way. Let's now do one where we're going to start and we're going to have, instead of a wild type female like we start out with, let's make her, let's see, we did wing shape. So now we're going to make her the dumpy one. And then I'm going to select, okay, and so now we have female as dumpy. And then we're going to design a male. All right, now the male needs to stay wild type. So we don't want to select anything. We don't click anything over here to change our male. We select that fly. So what are we mating? We're mating female dumpy, and we are mating wild type male. We mate these flies, and we get this, and we again get the same thing. We get all what? All flies are wild type, again indicating that indeed the dumpy trait is recessive, and the normal winged male is the normal winged trait is completely dominant over the dumpy allele. So because all of these ended up being what? Wild type. So of course record these numbers, we analyze, get those numbers here, test our hypothesis, we put in 0.5, we put in 0.5, and we test our hypothesis. It's still below 3.84, so therefore we can go ahead and reject the null hypothesis, and of course that leaves open for our hypothesis to still be a correct one. All right, so that is how we do this for a male and a female. Now, your assignment is to do eye color. So you are going to do the female with a male brown, a wild type female with a brown male, purple male, then a sepia male, and then a white male. All right, and then we go and switch it, and this will be a wild type male with a female brown, a female purple, then a female sepia, and a female white eyes. All right, so in other words, do all four of these with the opposite sex. All right, so whatever sex you choose here, you need to do the opposite here, and vice versa. So do male here with all of these female, and then do female with all of these male. All right, and so you'll have 8 answers that you will need to do, that you will need to complete. So I will warn you that you might get something strange here with white. So I'll just give you some hints. Let's do white, and we will select a white female, and we will select a wild type male, and we will mate these, and here you do get some you get some, it's not like the last one we did where you just kept getting wild types. Here you get white males, and you get wild type females. All right, so you will have to discuss why you don't get all, or so in other words, you have to know if it's sex linked, you have to know if it's dominant or recessive, things like that. So check that out and do these. Not a hard assignment. You will just have to complete every one of them pretty much the same as you did here. And of course this one's going to be 0.5 and 0.5, just as we did before. Test your hypothesis. Yes, it's below 3.84. So there you go. That's what you're supposed to do for this assignment, and turn it in. And not a hard lab. Okay, at least if you're following along, it shouldn't be a hard